is definitely coming from Trump himself as someone who worked in his first White House. You look at what the White House strategy was to combat this. They originally came out and said, look, Trump kicked him out of his club because he was a creep. And then Trump came out and said, well, no, it was because it was, I'm not on the list and, and all this stuff, and tried to push back. And then he tried to push the conspiracy theory that, oh, no, it was Comey and Obama who put me on the list. So then he's acknowledging that he's on the list somehow. And then it turned into him saying, oh, well, no, it was a dispute because he was poaching staff of mine. And he admitted that Virginia Giuffre was one of those staff members who was poached from Mar-a-Lago. And that was in 2000. And mind you, then you have Trump on record saying 2 years later that Jeffrey Epstein is a terrific guy and that he likes women like him, but he likes them young. And so it doesn't really seem to align then if, like, the reason that he kicked him out of the club was for poaching staff, but then it took several years for him to actually kick him out. I mean, he was on the logs at Mar-a-Lago up until 2007, I believe. So he's trying to throw whatever he can at the wall and see what's going to stick, but none of it seems to be sticking. And he's trying to gaslight his supporters right now to ignore this issue or distract them with these conspiracy theories. And it's not going to work this time. And this is the first time I think you're really seeing a divide between him and his base. And it's because his base cares about this issue. And so the response from the White House has just been totally mangled. But Trump is definitely the one dictating it. And I'm sure his advisors are trying to give him advice on it, but that at the end of the day, he's going to do what he wants to do.
Well, that's always the MO with the man. He's going to do what he wants to do. I'm just going to posit something for the conversation, because both of you have really kind of put, I think, a framing of what the country's seeing unfold out there in many ways. In my estimation, the family of the victims, it's just so difficult because the victims get lost in all of this. The victims are getting lost in this conversation, America, and you need to refocus your attention here. Because there are at least 1,000 young women who were preyed upon, and Ms. Giuffre's family, I think, kind of nailed it, Ankush, when they said President Trump has sent a clear message: pedophiles deserve preferential treatment, and their victims do not matter. That sums this whole thing up for me. The move, to your earlier point, you don't make the move unless there's a reason to make the move. So I'm curious as to what you think the reason was. Because no one wants to dance on that one either. No one they want to forget about the victims, and they don't want to ascribe to Donald Trump the motives that are clearly, in my estimation, indicated by the things he said, as you noted, and the moves he's making, as we see with Maxwell.
And 7 days after the Deputy Attorney General spent 2 days in Tallahassee with her,
which is unprecedented.
A Deputy Attorney General that used to be Donald Trump's personal attorney in a recent case prior to him being elected.
So
and Ghislaine Maxwell's personal attorney, a friend on a podcast.
And so now, America, you got all the dots connected, and Ankush is going to clarify.
He's going to get to an answer soon once we let him talk.
Okay, look, what might they be doing? I can only speculate based on why you don't do anything like this in the ordinary course. The reason is you are not supposed to be giving cooperators anything, because then you are currying favor with them, and you are incentivizing them to tell you what you want to hear.
And what is it that you think they want to hear?
Well, look, I think they probably want some information that exculpates, if not exonerates, Trump, which she could make up if she wants to, and information
she's already been ascribed to be a liar.
Yeah, and she's implicating political enemies of Trump. No, she's a terrible candidate for a cooperator. She's in prison on child sex trafficking charges, a 20-year sentence. She was charged twice, as you just noted, for perjury. Those were dropped after the sex trafficking conviction. She went to trial, contested her guilt, which is her right, but she's never cooperated with the government. And we're talking about a period of time that is now so far in the past that will be extremely difficult to corroborate anything she has to say and to make it usable. And the whole thing with Blanche going down there, I cannot begin to describe to you how strange and bizarre this is and how uniform this reaction is among current and former federal prosecutors. The idea that the Deputy Attorney General, who's supposed to be the second in command at DOJ, would intervene in any case, much less a case he wasn't involved in, would go in and spend 2 days with a garbage person, if you ask me, who shouldn't get anyone's time, and potentially be there without a witness or an FBI agent to memorialize
That part.
is remarkable. I mean, this too. Now, I don't know if anyone's confirmed definitively that there was not an FBI agent in presence.
No, they're not telling us.
They're not telling us. Okay.
So they're
therefore,
leading us to ask
since
more
they don't
questions.
tell us, we can assume whatever.
Right.
If that is
Right?
what happened, that there was not an FBI agent there, this too is a violation of the most basic prosecutorial practices. Why? Because now no one knows what was said during that meeting. And you cannot trust a situation where, like, let's go, she goes on to provide some testimony or whatever, implicating Bill Clinton or whatever, or exonerating Donald Trump. No one is ever going to be able to rule out the possibility that Blanche spent 2 days in that office coaching her.
On what to say.
Which is why you don't do things like that. You
why you
have a
don't do it.
witness and you
Yeah.
have a report of the meeting. So this
But
is all off the wall.
I'll add on top of that, too. So obviously you're talking about the prosecutorial standards and how they're in clear violation and how that kind of muddies the waters in the case itself against her. But I think in the court of public opinion, this also looks horrible for Trump. I mean, having his deputy attorney general and former personal lawyer go there and meet with her. And then if she ends up singing this tune of, oh, it's, Bill Clinton was on the list and Trump is completely innocent and all these things. I think Trump, it just goes to show how dumb he thinks his supporters are, because he really thinks that then they're going to buy that. Whereas I think a lot of people are seeing through the gaslighting on this administration's part and what they're trying to do. They're trying to fool them. Trump campaigned on this issue, said that he was going to release the files. And this is just another example of a broken campaign promise from this administration. He said he would protect Medicaid. He said that he would end the war in Ukraine on day one. He said that he would release these files. I mean, I could list off the laundry list of items of things that he has broken his promises on, but his supporters are fed up and they're sick and tired of it. And that's why at the organization that I'm doing work with, Home of the Brave, we're out here amplifying the voices of people who have been impacted by these disastrous policies. And his supporters, as well as some of his newer voters in his coalition, really care about this Epstein issue. And I don't think it's going away for him anytime soon.